now that he's a Raider, I've kind of like dove deeper and deeper and deeper into like who Davante Adams is. Like I'm, reading interviews he did when he was in high school, right? Like I'm diving into this guy. I'm still doing backflips that he's a Raider, right?
You're
so I'm like
pumped.
Just nerding out on Davante Adams constantly. But Davante Adams is also exactly like Josh McDaniels, Dave Ziegler. Smart player, hard worker, humble guy, humble roots. And also, by the way, freaking stud. So he talked to the Raiders.com, talked to Eric Allen, and he was asked, what is your first impression of Josh McDaniels?
Just similar mindsets. We both obsessed with winning, and obviously he got a great track record of doing that.
Yeah.
Been to a bunch of, been to the dance a bunch of times. Got a bunch of rings as well. So, I'm blessed to be able to work with a guy like that because he, based off the conversations we had, he's not trying to change anything I do. He wants to kind of more so manipulate, the way he's doing things to fit the way, what we have as players. And he knows what I do as far as the, on the film. And he said more so, and I appreciated that he said this. He said, your tape is secondary to the stuff that I've heard about you.
So a couple things from that 32-second clip.
Refreshing.
First one, and this is not the one you think, but that's also important. First one is, this sounds like a guy, McDaniels, who's learned his people skills, who's learned his, I'm the coach talking to football player skills, the I want this player to feel good about me skills. Told Davante, hey, we're going to adjust to you. You're so badass. You're so good at football that we're going to change to you. You're the superstar. So we're going to work around you to make you the best as possible. Now, all we need you to do is to carry your weight on that end. Imagine going to any job, right? You're a carpenter, truck driver, lawyer, fucking giving hand jobs under the bridge, whatever your job is. And your boss says, I want you to be you. I know you're a star. So I'm going to change what I do to get the best out of you. How are you going to feel? You're like, I'm going to run through a brick wall for this guy. Like, great. Awesome. And this is exactly what I want, what we were hoping. You're sure he's the way. I'm cautiously optimistic that he has learned from his past mistakes and has become a player's coach and a people person. And this is, in my eyes, a good piece of evidence that he may be that guy that you're sure he is, and I'm hoping he is.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things as far as McDaniels goes, that it's like you want to tell someone whoa instead of giddy up, right? So you want somebody to like be pushing, you want to have somebody be pushing forward and like being pushing the envelope and trying to be creative, right? I think maybe it's the first time around JMD was a little bit too creative and wanted to make Tebow into something and like really change the NFL landscape and all this shit. So he took the intangibles over. I think
McDaniels wanted to show off with Tebow.
Yeah, he's like,
look what I can do with
look what I can do with this guy. He's got all these intangibles. Well, you know what? He's got to be able to throw the ball fucking first, right? Yeah. I think he's learned from that, and I think he still has that in him where he's going to be able to be more flexible and creative, but talent first. Get the talent first, and then you can be flexible and creative, which he is. He has been. Look what he did last year with whatever the fuck his name was. The quarterback last year for them. I forgot.
Jones?
Yeah, Mac Jones. Yeah, look what he did with Mac Jones. He didn't have like what anyone would really call a number one receiver or number one target even. They got a couple of, tight ends.
$22 million Nelson Aguilar. What else? What else could you want?
Caught 40 fucking balls. So, it's like he had a couple of tight ends that were okay, that were like, second tier tight ends.
Yeah.
But that was really it. And he was still able to, get to the playoffs and score some points. And so he's kind of pulled back a little bit on being overly creative and not losing sight of what you need before anything else, and that's talent. So he sees the talent and he sees what Davante does well. So you can definitely put a system. And like I said before, the reason why Davante Adams is going to be such a big change and a big help to this offense is when you have that kind of talent on your team, it changes the way the opposing team defends you. So it changes. It's not just like having a good player. It's having like an elite player at that position. It changes the way the secondary defends you because they have to really shift a lot of the resources to stopping him. And then you have Renfro and Waller, and you have guys out of the backfield and Edwards and all these other guys that you can throw to. So, I mean, yeah, I see that McDaniels is really going to make a big leap moving forward, and not just having to like patch stuff together. Because when he's had talent, like he didn't really have a lot of offensive talent on the Patriots last year, but when he's had real talent on that team, those teams have been putting up some fucking major points.
And this is the irony about Davante Adams is Josh McDaniels' strength, and this is the other this like the thing that when you were saying refreshing as soon as we played that clip, it's like, yeah, like we have a coach that's going to adjust the offense to his players and not just say like, this is my system, like John Gruden was, right?
We have a fucking adult coaching, not a freaking egoed man child
adjusting his shit. But this is the irony is like when you have a Davante Adams, the best player at that position, you don't have to change your offense because this guy's good at everything, right? Like that's the irony. Like it's nice that he is, but like, you know, Hunter Renfro, amazing. Mwah, love him. Pro Bowler. He fits in a box, right? He's in the slot underneath. You know, he can shimmy and shake and beat guys, and you know, he could return punts, and you know, he's diverse, but you know, this is what he does, and he does it amazingly. You know, Josh Jacobs, he's not going to break one for 80. He's not going to outrun the entire defense, but he'll break 3 tackles and get you the 7 yards that you need, right? Davante Adams is the 5-tool best receiver in football. He can do everything. He can do everything. And yet Josh McDaniels is like, all right, let me figure something out to like get the he's still saying, let me figure out different ways to get the best out of you. When other coaches could be like, oh, you're the best. We're paying you all this money. You do what I tell you. And Adams would probably say, yes, sir. Like you're, you know, for the money you're giving me, I will.
Yeah, it's obvious what McDaniels and the offensive staff has done. They've studied probably every single play that Davante Adams has played in his entire life, and they see, okay, this is where he excels. These are the schemes and these are the concepts where he excels, where he does his best in. And how can we fit that in the mold where this is what Renfro does his best? This is where Renfro is at his best. This is where Waller is at his best. This is where Drake and Edwards, these are where these guys are at their best. How do we mold all those things into concepts to then build a system? And it's refreshing because you know that the kind of lip service that we've been fed since the beginning of this regime, where we're going to be able to be multiple, and we'll be able to be flexible, and you're going to be able to highlight different players depending on what the defense gives you and historically what they've been good at and bad at. So having that kind of flexibility to kind of move into not really change your scheme, but like highlight different things about your scheme, it's going to make a big difference. And I'm really excited about it. I'm really excited to see it.
So I have one pet peeve.
Okay.
All right. There's already one thing that really bothers me about Davante. Love him on the Raiders. So glad he's here. Again, I've been a quartermaster since he's been here. But he's already struck a nerve with me.
Is it the high hat? The way he freaking wears his hat nice and high?
That I can live with.
Okay. He just lays it on top of his head.
When you got those giant dreads, right? Like how else are you gonna do it, right? This is what bothers me about it.
I'm the most humble man in the world.
I'm the most humble man in the world.
I'm the most humble man in the world.
How can you brag about being humble? It's not possible. If you're humble, you don't brag about it.
Yeah, platinum and diamond chain on.
You don't say you're humble. How do you say I'm the most humble man in the world? I'm so humble. I'm so much more humble than you, Soto. I'm the most humble guy in Long Beach. Boy, if you guys saw me, you'd realize how humble I am. I'm going to get a neon sign that's going to go out in front of my house that has an arrow pointing down to me that says, the most humble guy in the world. How do you?
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
How do you say you're the most? It's like chicks that say how hot they are. It's like, you don't need to tell me how hot you are. I can look at you and I can see if you're hot or not. Oh, girl, I'm so hot. Look at these titties. I'm the sexiest thing around. Like, you don't have to say anything. I can see if you're hot or not, right? Like people who say how funny they are. Like, I'm a real comedian. I'm a real crack up, I make people laugh all the time. I'm a real comedian. Like, I can tell if you're funny or not. Like, you don't. Like,
most of the time, not.
Those aren't things you tell people. Those are things you prove to people. And humility is the number one. Because literally the second you say how humble you are,
you stop being humble.
You've just knocked 7 notches off of your humility meter. Now, Davante, by all intents and purposes and everything we've learned about him, pretty humble guy, right? And it might just be him, in an interview, and he's like rattling things off. But come on.
So, Davante, tell your new fans in Las Vegas, what is something they don't know about you? Well, I'm the most humble man in the world, number one. I'm only wearing, $150,000 around my neck. Look, like, I'm gonna stop because I'm not gonna disparage the good name.
I don't want to disparage him either. I'm just saying, like my little pet peeve about him. It's been established. I'm sure that he is.
All right, let's move on, RJ.
But it wasn't even like he's like, hey, I want to show the world my humility, or I want to like display my like. It's like literally like I'm the most humble man in the world.
I pride myself in really just being the humblest man in the room, no matter what room I'm in. And it's something I take with pride, and I feel like I like being recognized for being humble too.
My humility is on steroids. I was in a room with Mother Teresa and Gandhi, and I can tell. I looked right in the eyes, and they knew I was 10 times more humble than them. Congratulations for making it all the way to the end of our video. If you want Darren Waller to catch 20 touchdown passes next season and for Max Crosby to have 30 sacks, go ahead and subscribe and click the next video.